Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar today. We're a lot of people attending. We're really excited about that. So we're just going to give 30 more seconds for the last people to join in. So just bear with us as we wait just 30 more seconds before we start. Good. I'll just shortly start this webinar. So again, thank you so much to all of you who's joined this webinar today. We really been looking forward to kind of start our new webinar series where we're going to be doing very short webinars. And because of that, I also want to try to be very sharp today, try to inspire you and give you some insight into this topic that we're going to speak about today. So as you all know, the topic is boost your production data registration using a mobile WMS solution. First of all, to those of you who don't know Tasklet, I'm going to very briefly do a quick introduction of Tasklet Factory, and then we're going to jump straight into the agenda for this webinar. So Tasklet Factory is a Microsoft ISV partner, and we basically started because we saw a need in the market for user-friendly WMS solutions. We did see that a lot of customers were handling many processes in the warehouse manually and really needed a solution to optimize and basically make more digital the processes they're handling in the warehouse. But throughout the years, we've seen many customers who said, we actually also have many needs when it comes to production. We're handling many of those processes manually. So we've seen some of those problems, and we actually decided to make a production module. Now, the important thing for you to know is that our solution integrates directly with Microsoft Dynamics ERP systems. So that's, of course, NAV, Business Central, which I'm going to focus on today, but we also have our solution for AX and finance and operations as well. So that's a very short introduction of Tasklet Factory and what we do. So because time is short, let's jump straight into the agenda for this webinar. I'm going to be focusing on, first of all, what are some of the general problems we've seen when it comes to production registration, which is basically kind of the basis for why we started developing our solution for production. So I'm going to talk about how can we actually solve some of the problems that we've seen our customers have when it comes to production. Then I'm going to give you a demo of how does it actually work, what does this look like, our solution for production. And then finally, I'm going to be talking about what are some of the next webinars we have coming up. So let's jump straight into it. What are some of the key problems we've seen when it comes to production registration from our customers? I want to say the main thing that we're seeing among many customers today is that they are handling their production registration very manually in the production. It's the same that we're seeing in the warehouse for many customers, and it's the same problem in production. And the main problem is really when you're handling these processes manually, you'll see a big gap between what you have in your warehouse and between what is in the production. So the actual examples we've seen is that the people working in the production will just go into the warehouse, they will pick any products that they need for the production order they're working with, they will consume the items, they will produce the items that they need to produce, and then when everything is finished, they will go to a computer and type in all the information they need and then finish the production order from in there. That creates a problem, for example, in the warehouse, because maybe the warehouse worker goes to pick a certain item and suddenly that product is not there because actually somebody took it into the production and they haven't registered anything in any system yet. Or maybe they go to get a pallet and that pallet is gone because it's in the production area. Somebody just needed some few items from that pallet and then they're going to bring it back to the warehouse once they're finished. But this really leaves a big gap between what you have in your warehouse and what's in the production. Basically, that results in delays and faulty data in your ERP system and in your back office. Another big problem we've seen is that cost prices are inaccurate. And that's basically because many customers, because they don't really have a system for the people working in the production, they think time registration is too consuming. So it's basically best, the cost prices are basically based on best guess. It's not based on the actual time that's being used for that production. So the cost prices that are coming out are not very accurate. And finally, this leads our customers to look for a system for production, but many times they end up with one system for handling their warehouse processes and one system for handling their production. This means your IT department needs to worry about two different products that need to be maintained and supported and so on. So these are some of the main problems we've seen when it comes to production registration or the lack of it. So what are some of the benefits we believe you can gain by implementing our WMS solution, which has the production module? Well, first of all, you'll get a clear synchronization between what you have in your system and what's in kind of happening in the real world. Because anytime you're consuming items or you're registering your output or whatever you're doing, it's communicating directly with the ERP system and updating all your transactions through the mobile device in the production area. You also get to register the actual time and use of goods. This means that it's no longer best guess when it comes to the cost price. You're actually registering the time that you're using on the production, and you're basically reporting that back to the ERP system. And then when the production order has been finalized, then cost prices will be calculated on exactly the time that you use for that item or for that production. You also get better control when you're using a scanner. You, for example, make sure you have the right product when you're consuming items. If you're using products with lot number in your production, then you can, of course, scan the lot number. You always make sure you have the right product in your hand. And finally, we believe you can get one system that supports both your processes in the warehouse and also in the production, which makes it much easier for anyone working, in the IT department or whatever it is, to just know that we have one solution that supports all of our needs when it comes to warehouse and production. Good. So with that being said, let's just jump right into the demo. So what I'll do here now is I'm just going to quickly connect to the device that I'm going to be doing the demo on. So just give me 1 second as I connect to that. Good, you should be able to see my screen in just 1 second. Here we go. So here's our main menu. Like I said, we're not going to be focusing on all the warehouse related features today. We're strictly focusing on production for today. But please note that we have a lot of good features for the warehouse if you're not using a WMS solution in your warehouse today. But let's focus on the production module today. I want to mention that there's actually two ways you can use our software even to bring products from your warehouse into the production. You can either use this feature called picking, where you can pick for production orders, and you can also use our moving features to move products from your warehouse into your production. So that's actual ways where you can bring products into your production area. But I'll start by clicking on this feature called production. Now you see I have two different orders I need to work with. So it's production orders that has been created in the ERP system and been released to the scanner. Before I go inside any of these orders, I want to show you that I have a quick filter here that I can work through. You just click here in the top right corner where you can filter on which location you're at if you have different warehouses. You can also filter on your starting date. You can change that. Then you can also filter on the progress of this production order. Is it ready? Is it completed? Or maybe you want to look at all production orders. I'll just click all here. And then you can also filter on your specific work center. So are you going to be working with assembly, or do you know that you're going to be doing packing or painting? Whatever it may be, you can basically choose the work center that you need to work from. And then finally, you can filter on if you want to look at all orders assigned to users, or maybe specific orders that is assigned to me as a user. This is all controlled from within the ERP system, of course. So that's the filters. Like I mentioned, I have two different production orders I need to work with. One of them I need to produce this orange chocolate, and for the other one I need to produce this mint chocolate. Notice that the mint chocolate says with routing. That basically means that you have time registration with this specific order, and that's the one I'll be focusing on here in the demo. But for those of you who do not want to do time registration, please know that we also, of course, support that. Now let's start having a look at this specific order here, the mint chocolate that we need to produce. You can see I need to produce 200. And there's two things we can do. We can consume items and we can register output. I'll start by showing you how to consume items. Now, I want to mention really briefly that for some of our customers, they basically have this thing called back flushing, or you can also call it automatic consumption. That basically means that when you're registering output and finalizing the production order, then consumption is automatically calculated. If that's the case, then this feature is not relevant for you, but there are customers who need to actually consume items manually, you can kind of say. So I'll click on this feature, consume items. Here you can see to produce the mint chocolate, here's a list of the products that I need to consume. So I have, for example, 100 kilos of cocoa mass, I have 20 kilos of sugar, and you can see the full list here if you scroll down on the device. Now, I've had some help here in my warehouse. Everything here is located on this specific bin, W07002, so I don't need to go to different bins to consume these items. I can actually just start by scanning the bin where these items are placed. That means throughout this feature, I won't need to scan the bin anymore. So my first product is the cocoa mass. I'll need to scan that product and now scan the lot number for the product. Of course, that's only relevant if you have lot number tracking in your production and for those items, and then confirm the quantity that I need to consume. Now, for the next remaining items, I actually want to mention that I have some barcodes here, data matrix barcodes. So it's basically barcodes that contains the item number, it contains the quantity, specifically here, for example, 20 kilos for the sugar, and of course the lot number. So just by scanning this type of barcode, a data matrix barcode, just by one scanning, everything is registered. So if you have those types of barcode in your production, then that will be even more smooth. So I'll go ahead and also scan the milk, I'll scan the mint flavor, and I'll also scan, lastly, the gold foil and confirm that I'm consuming 40 of that. So once that's done, I'm basically ready to post my consumption. So now my device here is connecting to the ERP system, and already now the consumption has been posted. I didn't even need to go to a computer to do anything. This whole process was basically handled from the device. I do want to say that if your Business Central allows it, then you can also do extra consumption. So that's why these lines are still open on the device. If you do need to consume some more later on, if your Business Central allows it, then you can come back here and consume the items that you need to consume. But now let's focus on this very important feature called register output, which should be relevant for all of you who are on the call today. I have two things I need to register output on and register my time on. I have the actual production of the mint chocolate, and then I have a packing assignment, which I need to do. So let's focus on the production first of all. As I mentioned before, it's 200 pieces we need to produce. And the first thing I want to do is I want to register time on this production. So while I'm on the line, I'm going to click on this button called time tracking. And basically the system asks me, is it the setup or the run? I'll just say I'm going to start registering time on my setup, and I'm going to start the time right now. So now you can see the clock is basically running on the setup. Now, I'm not going to wait a lot of minutes here, so I'll just go ahead and stop the time right away. I'm going to click on time tracking, and I'm going to stop time on setup, and I'm going to stop it right now. So the minimum time is 1 minute being registered, kind of rounded up to 1 minute here. Now, I want to also register time on the actual run. So I'll click time tracking here and click on run, and I'm going to start the time for that specific assignment. So now the time is being registered on the run. Now let's go ahead and stop the time, and I want to show you something different here. I'm clicking on the time tracking and I'm clicking stop the run. We've actually allowed you, and I think you saw this before, that you have the time here. You can actually go ahead and manually change that by clicking on the time. And the reason for that is that maybe at some point somebody in the production forgot to stop the time at the correct time. So that's why we give them the option to also manually type in the time which was spent. So I'm just going to put in 3:15 p.m. So now you see it registered 61 minutes. So you do have that option of manually typing in the time as well. Now I've registered the time either using the start and stop or manual entry as I showed. Now I also want to register scrap on the production because some of it went bad. Let's say 2 pieces here went bad. And because I said 2 were bad, I have to choose from these scrap reasons. So these scrap reasons are all created inside of Business Central. You can create your own. So it will pop up here in the scanner. This item had a defect. So I'm going to register 2 scrap with that reason. You can, of course, see that reason now inside of your ERP system. The last thing I want to do for this line is register the actual output. How many did I manage to produce? Well, 200 was what I managed to produce here. Good. So now you can see here, it says I finished the 200 out of the 200 pieces. Now my next process is the packaging that I need to do. And here's something, let's just go ahead and register time for that. I want to show you that we do have this button called register time. Like the other feature I showed before, it's kind of, manually just typing in the time that was spent. So I can, for example, say I spent 10 minutes on the setup and I spent 20 here on the actual run. This feature register time can also be used to adding time later on. So let's say I realized, hey, I wasn't actually finished after 20 minutes. I need to add 5 minutes more. Then I'll click on register time. I don't want to add anything to the setup, but I do want to add 5 more minutes to the runtime. So now you can see it says 25 minutes. So it's fully up to you if you want to use the time tracking, the start and stop of the time, or you want to kind of manually register the time through this feature. So that's also an option. I'm not going to register any scrap, but I do want to register the output here for the packing. We've actually, Tasklet Factory offers something called Tasklet Factory Cloud Print, where through that software, you can basically trigger print jobs from the scanner. So if I long press on the line and click on print, I can basically print out that label that I need to put on the package here. So you can choose different label formats. I'll choose this item label. And here you need to enter in the lot number for this specific product if it's lot number tracked. Through a small customization, we can actually automatically generate that new lot number you want to be created. So you'll just confirm that, and then you'll basically be able to print out a brand new lot number. Or you can also just use maybe lot numbers you already have on the packaging you bought. That's also an option. But I'll go ahead and scan. I have my lot number here, and I'm confirming the quantity. Sorry, I'll just go back. Here's the quantity which that barcode needs to represent, 200 pieces. And I'll go to my next step. I can choose my printer and finally how many copies I want to print out. But I'm not connected to any printer here, so I'll just go back now. And imagine now that I printed out that label and put it on the product. So now I'll be able to click on register output. I can change the expiration date if I need to do that on the product, or if I have it as a barcode, I can scan that. And now I can scan that lot number, which I just printed out before, and finally confirm that I've done the packaging of all 200. The last thing I want to show is you can basically, while you're on the line, you can click on the menu button and then click on finish operation. That's basically putting a check mark inside of the ERP system saying, okay, I finished working on this specific line. And once everything is done, you can, of course, finish your production order from within Business Central. And then, of course, your cost prices will be calculated as well. So I hope through this light demo that you saw how through using Tasklet's Factory's WMS solution in your production, you can handle this whole data registration using the device. You don't need to print out any paper. You can do all of the time tracking from the scanner. And then finally, you can post all the information that you need to into the ERP system directly from the scanner. Good. So that's basically what I wanted to say for today's webinar. I do want to mention something important here. We have 2 more webinars coming up, and we're really trying to test out this new setup with short webinars. So the next 15 to 20-minute webinar we'll have is for the pick, pack, and shipping process. Well, we will show you how you can actually handle your whole picking process, packing process, and even shipping from the mobile device. And we're also going to talk about how to choose the best hardware for your warehouse or in the production. That can really determine a lot for the people working in the production in the warehouse, that they have the right tool in their hand, and which really helps them to work fast and efficiently in the warehouse or in the production processes. If you want to know, or if you want to sign up to any of these webinars, we really encourage you to sign up and follow us on LinkedIn. We will certainly post these webinars on our LinkedIn page. And if you have any questions to what you saw today, please reach out to your partner if they're a Tasklet Factory reseller, or feel free to go to our website, taskletfactory.com, reach out to us and ask any questions you might have. We look forward to talk to you about this webinar today, and hope it gave you some inspiration on how to optimize your processes in the production. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.